Monday morning. Time for another Skippers Unscripted. This week, we're going to tackle the next big item for leadership discussion, which is, I know, long dramatic pause. I know. Are you drinking your own Kool-Aid? Let's get into it. All right, everybody, we're back. Studio change. If you have comments on the studio change and the view, put them down below. Would love to hear those. Do you like this better? Do you like the others better? You get to see a little bit more of the background. I'll say you get to see a little bit more into the, I'll say the psyche of Dave Skippers. Hopefully semi-enjoyable is what I'll say. There's definitely some quote icons in the background for those of you who know. If you like what's happening here, you like the series, you have suggestions on things you'd like me to talk about when it comes to a leadership perspective, feel free to put comments down below. Would love to hear it. With that said, we're gonna jump right in. So I talked about how do you know if you're drinking your own Kool-Aid? Good question. Why do I bring it up? Let me explain that. So one, why is drinking your own Kool-Aid bad? If you think that your own thinking is great and it's not flawed, and you think because you think something, it's true and it's accurate and it needs to be acted on, I'm going to tell you right now, you are the problem. I'm not even going to mince those words. You are the problem. If you are not thinking about your thinking, meaning evaluating if your thinking is effective and appropriate, you are not leading well. End of story. Full stop. I'm not even going to mince words with that. If you don't get that, you are part of the problem. And you will not lead successfully. I have seen this over and over and over again. I talked last week about the ability to navigate fear and emotional entanglement. The next one is the ability to think correctly, rationally, and effectively. I call this, so thinking about your thinking, so evaluating, are you drinking your own Kool-Aid, is what I call metacognition. So are you leveraging metacognition, which is thinking about your thinking. So what do I mean by that? So let's unpack it a little bit more. So we said one, if you don't have metacognition, you're not going to lead well. Sorry, end of story, full stop. Again, next up, let's use a quote before we get into this next one, which is a quote, long pause, I know, dramatic. A quote from Miyamoto Musashi, Sword Saint, Japan, feudal Japan, love his work. There's two quotes from him that have impacted both my life and my leadership styles. So one, we'll go through the first one. We'll cover the other one some other day, is what I'll say. First one is, the truth is not what you think. No, I'm sorry. Yeah. The truth is not what you want it to be. It is what it is, and you must bend to its power or live a lie. Yeah, I know, I turned to the camera for emphasis. If you are not focused on what is real and objective and is truthful, you are living a lie. And as a leader, that is a death sentence for your career. Eventually you will be outed. You will never make your KPIs. You will never get to the growth that you need, and you will never break through the levels that you need to be. End of story. This is core, it is fundamental, and this is probably the penultimate truth and clarity that we can hold within our own existence as human beings. And that is, there's so many layers to this. I could probably talk about this. You'd get me onto a class lecture and we could get way off into the weeds. We're not going to do that here today. Why do I bring this up? The ability to see things, so the truth, and I will be honest, is painful, even for me, because it says things that you don't always want to hear, okay, or deal with. It's that simple. And if you're not willing to acknowledge and act on those and bring those into your decision making, you're not thinking well. You are being emotionally entangled. You are being compromised. All right. So the primary takeaway here, so this is part two. First was metacognition. Two, when you are thinking about your thinking, are you fundamentally looking for things that contradict what you already believe? And are you objectively assessing them? Not because you want them to be true, but because they are or they aren't. And you have to separate what you want from what is real. And the ability to do that is critical for leaders to be successful. They are brutal truths. I will use a wonderful story. There was a gentleman I worked with. I don't often name the actual names of people, especially in my books. In the video series, I may name some people. I'm going to name one here now. And I'm going to give a shout out and a nod to him. He's been retired for quite a while now. I don't know if he'll be watching the video. It doesn't really matter. I worked with a CFO. His name was Art Bolt. Art was a great guy. Art was, in essence, a mentor to me at a time that was crucial for me. And one of the interesting things is we got into different discussions about decision making and truth and observing that. And the story he told was this, and it is bearing on what is true and what is not. And the story he told is, he said, the story goes this: truth, or I'm sorry, I already messed it up, but hey, bear with me, hang on. So life said to death, why is it that everyone loves me and hates you? And death responded to life and said, because you are a beautiful lie and I am a brutal truth. All right. So again, now I'll say there's a lot of deep there as well, but it does speak to truth and lies. We tend to gravitate towards things that we want to be true versus that are. I've done work as a professional investigator. I would tell you, never underestimate the power of a beautiful lie. And as leaders, we have to realize and be able to detect, when am I gravitating towards something because I want it to be true, but it may not be. So again, are you focused on contradictory information to what you want to believe? And if you are not objectively assessing things, you are compromised and drinking your own Kool-Aid. So there's another factor to drinking your own Kool-Aid. Next up, even when you've done those things, so let's say you've done that, you are thinking about your thinking, you believe that you have gone through and you have looked for the things that contradict what you want to be true. And that may be painful. So let's say you are focusing on those things. Those are all great. Those are good steps. Next evaluation, is your thinking compromised? Or is it potentially compromised? So what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is, are you tired? So decision-making drops throughout the day. There is a researched and published research on decision-making fatigue. We make worse decisions as the day goes on, as we tire. Our brain tires. It's a muscle. It's just like being at the gym. Towards the end of your your workout, you become fatigued and your muscles don't perform as well. Brain is the same way. It is a decision-making muscle. All right. So is it tired? Are you emotional? Are you sick? Have you worked long hours and now you're being asked to make emergency decisions? I used to put off decisions until the next day if it was towards the end of my workday, because I would cognitively realize I'm exhausted, I'm tired, and I'm probably not going to make a great decision or be objective right now. So if possible, I would push to the next morning. And sometimes people got a little frustrated with it, but I would say, I'm tired. I don't know that I'm going to make a great decision. Let's talk about it in the morning first thing. And to be honest with you, those conversations could be lively and effective, and a lot better decisions were made based off of monitoring my own ability to make decisions and when was it going to be highly probable to make better decisions. So that is another factor. Okay, so I think we're on 3. And then we're going to end up with 4 because we really don't want to get over about 4 items for the video. We may unpack some of these more in detail later, but these are high-level concepts. Last one up is, after you make decisions as a leader, those usually lead to actions or implementations or whatever. And as you move forward with those, if those do not perform the results that were expected or they fail, then you have to go back and go through a full review of lessons learned. Part of that should be, were the decisions that you made appropriate and accurate? Now, there's times where we don't have information that we should have and that it impeded the proper decision. I'm not, I'm not avoiding that. Those things can happen, but you should be able to suss that out or smoke that out based off of going through a lessons learned. But in essence, that lessons learned, part of that critique is, did you make a good decision or was it flawed for any of the things I've talked about so far? There's many other things to consider, but these are the top 4 criticals. And if you're not used to thinking about your thinking, so if you're not used to metacognition, these might be new to you. And if you're sitting back and you've wondered, like, well, sometimes I feel like I get lost in my own thinking, or sometimes I tend to make the wrong decisions and I don't know why. These are factors that could be substantially contributing to those particularly not great decisions that you might be frustrated with. So again, hopefully this helps. If you have comments on the studio setup, would love to hear them. If you have other topics that from a leadership perspective you want to hear about, feel free, drop them in. Would love to do that. Want to make sure that what we're providing here is helpful for leaders who want feedback and want to hear about the tough things and the messy things that come with trying to lead people. It is difficult. It is not easy. And we need to get into a better format, in my opinion, of getting into the nitty gritty and the difficult things to talk about that make leadership tough. All right. Because we need more successful leaders. So hopefully these things are providing value to you. Hope to see you next week and appreciate your viewership and your time and attention, and have a great week.